Capacity and liquid measurement. What is it? Liquid capacity is a concept in mathematics where we measure the finite amount of liquid that a container can hold. As you can see here, I have 3 different containers, different shapes, different sizes, but as you notice, these have one similar trait in common, and that's that they're all hollow. When we're talking about liquid capacity and how to measure capacity, we have to make sure that we're talking about items that can actually hold liquid, therefore they're hollow. In order to have a good understanding of capacity, we also have to have a good understanding of what volume is too. These two concepts, both volume and capacity, are very intrinsically linked, and sometimes they get very confused. Now, the difference between volume and capacity is that capacity is actually the amount of liquid that can be held, whereas volume is how much space an object can take up. Whereas this jug can hold about 500 milliliters of water, its volume is not that because it takes up a lot more space. Its mass is bigger. Not everything can also have capacity. A giant block of wood, although it has volume and has a certain amount of space that it can take up, it doesn't have the ability to hold any internal volume, and therefore it doesn't have capacity. These containers in front of me, however, as I said before, they can hold things internally, and therefore they can have capacity. Capacity is measured in a metric base unit known as a liter. This is like the most common form of metric unit, and often we go either lower, so we talk about milliliters, or we go higher, such as kiloliters. This chart here, as you can see, is a really useful tool for students to actually identify how the metric system works when we're talking about capacity in relation to the metric system. As you can see here, we have our base unit of liter, and as we descend down these stairs, we go into a tenth of a liter, being, a deciliter, hundredth of a liter, being a centiliter, all the way down to milliliter, which is a 1,000th of a liter. And if we go up the stairs, it's the exact opposite. Kiloliter being 1,000 liters, 100 liters being a hectoliter, and 10 liters being a deciliter. When we're dealing with volume and capacity, we can use the following formula to actually assist with converting and figuring out the capacity when we've worked out volume. So when you're actually talking about volume, it's 1 centimeter cubed. So 1 times 1 times 1, that would be cubed. That equals 1 milliliter. This means that 4,000 centimeters cubed is actually 4,000 milliliters, or 4 liters. Capacity can actually be a somewhat tricky concept to understand, especially when students confuse it with volume or think that they're too intrinsically linked. This video is basically just a little intro that'll help you identify the concept of capacity and how we actually identify it and differentiate it between volume and how we would actually operate using this term when we're talking in a maths context. Hopefully this video has helped you gain some understanding to engage with liquid capacity and liquid measurement in your maths units.